After that encounter in Scottdale and the revelation of what stories may lie behind the photos I've been taking, I started doing some research. I always understood that railroads have long divided neighborhoods and been used as markers to separate communities. What I wanted to understand for this project were two things. First, does that divide still exist today? Second, I wanted to understand how the neighborhoods developed over time along that railroad, because unlike interstates, which were introduced later after towns and cities had been formed, this railroad in particular was built before there were many towns at all. So I wanted to understand the stories, particularly from the perspective of race and culture, what developed in those neighborhoods, how they developed, when they developed. So for that first objective, I went searching for census data that could help me map out the racial makeup of neighborhoods along the railroad line. This is the racial dot map, created by Dustin Cable at the University of Virginia's Weldon Cooper Center for Public Service. It uses 2010 census data to represent every single person in America as a single dot. In 2022, this map was taken offline because the data had gotten old. A new census was run in 2020, and I've since found an updated project that is accomplishing the same things. One of the reasons I want to do a follow-up to this book is to represent data that fits the time period I was taking the photos. So 2020 census data will feel more relevant. But using the 2010 census data, I was able to identify a pattern. I isolated the 2-mile stretch of railroad that I've been photographing, and you could clearly see where neighborhoods were divided by the railroad had huge swings in racial makeup. The pattern was unmistakable. Railroads and Atlanta grew up together. The city was founded in 1845 as the terminus for the Western and Atlantic Railroad. It was literally named Terminus until being changed to Atlanta. Throughout the late 1800s and early 1900s, railroad expansion brought industry. Cotton mills, steel foundries, manufacturing plants, and those industries needed workers. But where those workers lived wasn't accidental. Segregation policies used infrastructure as tools. Railroads became convenient dividing lines, separating Black neighborhoods from white neighborhoods, workers from owners, their side versus our side. The tracks didn't just transport goods, they enforced geography. They defined who belonged where. And once those patterns were established, they persisted. Even after segregation laws ended, the infrastructure remained, the neighborhoods remained, and the divisions remained. When you look at these photographs now, you're not just seeing buildings and bridges. You're seeing physical evidence of policy decisions made a century ago. Beaten Tracks Volume 1 only examines a 2-mile stretch, but the evidence is there throughout the city, throughout the state, throughout the country. Railroad tracks as dividing lines, by design. Tomorrow, I'll share some photos and stories about the neighborhoods they were taken in that reveal this infrastructure as barrier. Thanks for staying on this journey with me.